Where do I start? Hello! Well, it has been a minute since I posted. I have not really put anything on this page for some time. I apologise, but I'm starting this now. This is a new little project that I'm undertaking, and you're going to come with me. So, a little bit of a rundown. I don't know how many of you guys know this. So, I was in a band called Howling Dollhouse. That's Man in the Middle. It was a different time. But yeah, we wrote quite a few songs together. We performed probably around Melbourne for probably a good decade. And coincidentally, actually, in March this year, that will be the 10-year anniversary of when we released our last album, which was released in March 2012. Following the release of that album, we sort of went on a hiatus. We're still on a hiatus. We technically haven't actually even broken up as a band. We just have been on an extended holiday. So we never actually officially sort of broke up. Don't get your hopes up. We're not going to be playing for you anytime soon. So following that, we all sort of went our own ways. I moved out here into the Riverland region of South Australia, starting a completely new chapter. Sort of moved out here without really having a job. I just had my business, and we just went for a desert change. This is where we landed. So for the last 8 years, I've bbeen performing around the Riverland as an acoustic soloist, playing covers. Don't get me wrong. I absolutely love playing for you guys. I love playing music. I love performing for you guys. When you're playing other people's songs, you kind of get stuck in a bit of a circle jerk. It's very hard to sort of get yourself out of that. So this is what I'm going to be doing now. I've decided I need to get back into writing my own songs, and I thought, well, why not take you guys along for the journey? So I'm going to be creating a whole series of videos that basically just sort of follow along with the songwriting process, so you guys can sort of see how songs sort of come together. And, they come from different places. Some songs might sort of start with the beat. Other songs might sort of start with me messing around on the guitar. Other songs might start with me sort of singing a line in the shower. I know, too much information. But along this journey, I guess we're going to write songs together and see how it comes. And if you have some suggestions, if you have some ideas or anything that can sort of help, feel free to help me out and put those ideas forward. Let's write this together. I've got all the resources available to me. I am actually going to be recording these properly at the end as well, which is something that I've never actually done. I'm going to be figuring out how to do that as well. So this should be interesting. It's going to be different. So if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button, press like, do whatever it is you need to do. Just make sure you stay in touch so you can see the updates of this journey. And I look forward to having something that we can all share at the end. So, let's go. Where do we start? That's the problem, I guess. And this is the challenge, isn't it? Because you've got to start somewhere. Where I'm going to start is I was actually playing around with these chords the other day inside, playing with a G, a C, a D, and an E minor. So I just sort of started going. It's a fairly common chord progression. As I was playing, my son, who's 1 year old, came over and pressed the function button on my keyboard. It changed the sound to a vibraphone, which sounds like this. And I was like, ooh, that sounds kind of cool. So that's where I'm going to start. I'm going to start working with that. And Saturday, the wedding was planned for Saturday. The wedding was planned for... So what is that? It's like... Wedding was planned for a Saturday or early November. The wedding was planned for a Saturday late in the month of September or early November. I never remember. The wedding was planned for a Saturday late in the month of September or early November. I never remember, but the guest didn't turn up as planned. The wedding was planned for a Saturday late in the month of September or early November. I never remember, but the guest didn't turn up as planned. It all started well. The bride looked amazing. Amazing. What rhymes with amazing? It all started well. The bride looked amazing. Grazing. It all started well. The bride looked amazing. Grazing. grazing, amazing. The bogans already found drinks and were grazing. The bogans already found drinks and we're grazing. I think about, I've played a lot of weddings. You see everything. I don't know, the word wedding sort of came to me at the start when I first started. Like, as I'm sort of writing this, I guess I'm just picturing me sort of standing there at a wedding with a guitar and just having a look around at all the people that you see. And I've seen them all. Like, I've seen the uncle that always turns up in thongs. In so many ways, weddings are the same. Like, there's a lot of variety between them, but for the most part, they all play out pretty well the same. So that's why I'm sort of, and you know, whenever I'm sort of playing a wedding, you can always, before the bride turns up and there's that anticipation and the groom and the groomsmen are all standing around, there's always this little contingent of bogans that always manage to find the drinks fridge pretty early on and all standing there with a cold beer in their hand. Especially on those bloody hot days in Australia. It all started well, the bride looked amazing, the bogans already found drinks and were grazing. It's hazy, it's hazy, but maybe, I think that's when everything turned. I don't know, I can rework that later. It all started well, the bride looked amazing, the bogans already found drinks and were grazing. It's hazy, but maybe, I think that's when everything turned. I do. When they were supposed to say I do, they didn't do. Just when we thought they might both, say I do, they didn't do anything. Neither one moved. They just stood there staring and hoping the other would speak. Didn't do anything, didn't say anything, didn't do anything. It's like I do, so it's like they didn't say. I don't know. We can. This is how it works. Well, what I'm doing right now is I'm literally just punching out the first thing that comes into my head. We can work these later. And even if you guys, as I said before, if you guys have some suggestions on what you think, like a lyric that you think would fit in here better, please shoot them through. Just put them in the comments. I'll consider anything as long as it's not shit. Don't be shit. Like my mother used to say, get out of the kitchen. They didn't do anything, and just when we thought they might both say I do, they didn't do anything, neither one moved. They just stood there staring and E minor, hoping the other would speak. Resolve on the C. They just stood there staring, hoping the other would speak. Groom laughed and said, speak, reek. Need something that rhymes with speak. They didn't do anything, neither one moved. They just stood there staring and hoping the other would speak. And the groom, weak, hell of a week. The groom laughed and said, then the groom laughed and said, it's been a hell of a week. The groom laughed and said, it's been a hell of a week. Yo ho 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 and a bottle of rum. 3 cheers for the bride and her rage-induced mum. 3 cheers for the bride and her rage-infused mum. Nah, that doesn't flow. I like the yo ho ho. Yo ho 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 and a bottle of rum. It's kind of got that pirate theme. Like it feels like a little... like a pirate shanty. Yo ho 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 and a bottle of rum. Yo ho 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 and a bottle of rum. 3 cheers for the bride and 2 for her mum. I like that. 2 for her mum. Picturing the mum absolutely seething. These two have turned up to this wedding. Everyone's there. They're all dressed to the nines except old Uncle Bill who's got thongs on and the bogans. But they're all dressed up. Everyone's ready for this day. They rock up and they don't do anything. They don't go ahead with it because
They can't do it. I don't know. They don't get married. There's some reason that they don't get married. Maybe they're not in love, and they just realise it when they're standing there at the altar. They're not in love. Mum's seething. She's so angry. She absolutely fucked off. But she is keeping it cool. So she gets a cheer. Yo ho ho ho, and a bottle of rum. 3 cheers for the bride and 2 for her mum, and 1 for old Uncle Bill, who's just turned up in thongs. Every wedding I've been to, there's someone who turns up in a nice shirt, sometimes even with a suit jacket, shorts and thongs. Yeah. Whatever. Completely dress it down. And 1 for Uncle who came to the wedding in thongs. And 1 for her uncle. And 1 for the uncle who came to the wedding in thongs. So now, I guess... I couldn't tell you what happened that day. I couldn't tell you what happened that day. I couldn't tell you what happened that day. But they didn't get married, and I didn't get paid. They didn't get married because they weren't in love. They just couldn't do it without having love in their life. At least not enough for them to be husband. At least not enough for them to... At least not enough to be husband and wife. I don't know, that doesn't feel right to me, but we're gonna just go with it for now anyway. And I couldn't tell you what happened that day, but they didn't get married and I didn't get paid. They just couldn't do it without having love in their life. At least not enough to be husband and wife. Let's give this a go so far. I think actually what we'll do is because I've got 2 verses, pre-chorus and a chorus, so I might just leave this here today. So I'll just play it through and that will be the end. So we go like this. The wedding was planned for a Saturday late in the month of September or early November. I never remember, but the guest didn't turn up as planned. It all started well, the bride looked amazing. The bogans already found drinks and were grazing. It's hazy, but maybe I think that's when everything turned. And just when we thought they might both say I do, they didn't do anything, neither one moved. They just stood there staring and hoping the other would speak. Then the groom laughed and said, it's been a hell of a week. Sing yo ho 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 and a bottle of rum. 3 cheers for the bride and 2 for her mum. And 1 for her uncle who came to the wedding in thongs. And I couldn't tell you what happened that day, but they didn't get married and I didn't get paid. They just couldn't do it without having love in their life. At least not enough to be husband and wife. Alright, I think that'll do for today. Thanks for watching. As I said, this is gonna be a work in progress. This song may sound absolutely nothing like this by the time I get to the point of actually recording it. If you have suggestions, please put them through. Make sure if you've enjoyed this video, just make sure you follow along, because I'm gonna be doing this fairly regularly. Appreciate you listening and watching. We'll see ya.